Good morning, Green Spring. I'm Gray Parks, your host this morning for Village in Motion. Today's September the 6th, and we're going to talk with Judy Wengrovitz in a few minutes right after this. Good morning again, Green Spring. I'm Gray Parks, your host this morning on Who's Who, and we're going to talk with Judy Wengrovitz. And I hope you saw the display of paintings at the art show a couple of months ago, and also on the Hunters Crossing art wall that we had in July. And Judy had a lot of paintings up there. She doesn't have many paintings. She only has about 800 in her apartment, but so she's shown you only a few. And we have a few here today that we'll look at and talk about. So Judy, welcome. Thank you very much for coming on Who's Who and talking about you and your paintings and so forth. And first, let's talk about your current family. Do you have any children?
Oh, yes, I have 3 sons, and I have 3 grandsons.
Oh.
I have 1 granddaughter. And unfortunately, none of them are really painting, but they're all very bright. They're all good in math.
I see.
Which I'm not.
So you have 1 in Massachusetts?
1 in Massachusetts.
1 in Florida, and he's the broker, right? He's the...
He's the stockbroker. He's the stockbroker, yes.
And you have 1 here in Arlington?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he's an electrical engineer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your 3 grandsons, what do they do?
Oh, let's see. One of them is in college now.
Oh.
And he decided he wants to be a doctor, which is really very nice. And he is doing fantastic. I didn't know he was that good.
Good.
Really, he's very, very bright.
Yeah.
Another one, whose name is, not Michael, I almost forgot his name, but he has a very good job too. And his job is a little unusual. What he is doing is working for hospitals or doctors and converting electrical engineer things. He's making them into engineering type thing instead of handwritten. So all, when you see all the things in the doctor's office, all the things that are on display, he's trying to simplify it a little bit.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And then you have a granddaughter?
Yeah, I have a granddaughter who just that's my only girl. And she has...
I have only 1 granddaughter too.
And she graduated just recently from William and Mary. And she has an interesting profession. She likes to go ahead and write books or write reviews of a certain age group. And so she wants, all my grandchildren want to move to New York after I left.
I see.
They all want to move to New York.
Once you move down here, they want to move back to New York.
Yeah, it's like I'm throwing them in.
But you've been down here a long time.
Oh, yeah, we've been down here for forever.
Before we get into that, what about your parents? What about growing up?
Okay, my parents, my mother, I think, was from Poland. My father was from Scotland.
Oh.
And what he did was this was interesting, too. He was an upholsterer, which meant he fixed furniture and things like that, So that's my mother and my father, and I'm an only child.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were doted upon, I'm sure.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
And you were you were your father's special child, I'm sure.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so my father used to buy paints for me. And I didn't know that I could paint until I tried. I said, "What is this?"
Did either one of them have any background of painting?
Not really any background, but I would say that I have cousins.
Who paint, huh?
One cousin is an interior designer. They all have some artistic talent.
Yeah. Now, what about schooling?
schooling.
Any special
Let's
things?
see,
Not-
did I go? I went to ordinary schools except for
in
college.
In Brooklyn?
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
except for Manhattan when I went to Hunter College.
Oh, Hunter, now, where is Hunter College?
Hunter College is on Park Avenue. It's in Manhattan.
Around 69th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was rated as, and it still is, rated as a very good school.
Yeah.
And I studied art there.
Oh, so art education was your
That was my major, and I decided at that time that I wanted to teach. So I took classes that taught me how to teach.
So one of the objectives then was to learn to teach, but another objective was also to further your art. Because when did you start learning? When did you know that you were going to be an artist?
Oh, and I started painting when I was like 8 years old.
Oh.
And I did little cartoons like little children do, you know. And but I kept on painting, and I felt this is the thing that I really like to do. Mm-hmm.
Well, do we have some examples of your early painting?
Oh yes, I do
I think
have.
under this.
Oh,
this
one
one?
of my early paintings. And you know, I speak of these paintings very fondly
I'll bet you do.
because
Now, how old were you when you painted this?
this was. Let me see if there's a date. The one thing that I did not do, which was terrible, is I didn't sign or date my work, and very often I'll
Well, at that
look
time,
at each.
well, of course,
I should have done it anyhow.
absolutely. You know, a young artist like that. But this is a girl in a field.
Yeah, but this was sort of uncomplicated painting that I did,
It's a beautiful painting.
and I forget how
And
old I was.
You were about 8 or 10.
I would say about 10.
And this is one of your first paintings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. One of the first paintings in watercolor, and the watercolors I had weren't the best watercolors either.
Yeah.
They probably were the little kind of pans that
The kind we got in school.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was. Then this is next. Over
Well,
here?
I don't know which one is next, but I'll tell you, the one that I think is very good is this one here, if you can see it. And if you look closely, it has
Can you zoom in on that?
the detail on this and the face, even the eyes, everything is very good. Let me see if let's see what's on the
I think
back
you can
here.
see it pretty well there.
I have something written on the back. Let's see here. This painting, done by. I was 13 years old.
13. Huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
it has a date
Okay.
on the back, and it's a complicated painting. My father, you know, had his own shop, but he was friendly with shops around him. So he knew enough that these paintings should be framed nicely. So they sold frames in these shops, and he would come in and say, "My daughter did this. Could you frame it?" And really, because they framed it differently. Now, if you look at this frame and you look at this frame, they were done by the same shop, but different things. And let me talk about this in a few minutes.
Let's put that down. And now you were 12 when you did this one. Is that-
Let me see if there's a date on here.
Okay.
No date. Of course not. That gets me very mad, but.
Well, you told me you were 12 years old when you did this.
Yeah, and this is
And the interesting thing about this, I think, is you see the lace, and this is an oil,
yeah,
and you know this is frilly lace here.
yeah.
12 years old. The hair is curly.
Oh, and if you touch it.
Oh, it's hair.
You could feel. You
Yeah.
could feel the rough.
Oh,
feel.
yes.
You feel it. So there, I learned how to do texture,
Ah,
and I was experimenting with texture, and this wasn't a very fancy thing, but for me, for a child, who I never got instruction, I just,
Nobody taught you to paint?
no.
Oh.
Me.
Well, what about in high school? Did you pursue any painting in high school, or is that?
Yes, in high school, I still remember the teachers that I had because they inspired me to teach.
Ah,
Yeah, because when I was in high school, there was a woman, and I could remember her name, which was a long time ago.
yeah.
It's Mrs. Johansson.
Oh.
And she used to teach the class, and I used to watch her, and I learned how to teach because of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that carried on into Hunter College, and
Yeah.
because you majored in.
And Hunter College, we really did different things.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think back, and if I think back, I should have tried even more. The one thing that I thought was very interesting is we did theater work, and we would go ahead and we would make a theater, a small theater, out of boxes and
You'd make a stage out of a box.
yes,
And put.
not only that, we made the people too.
Okay.
And the people were about this big,
Yeah.
and they were made out of paint, and they were made out of different cardboards and things, and everything. I could be lit up with a flashlight
Well, what was the purpose of making these small stages?
to teach me how to learn how to do theater,
Oh, I see.
which was very, very, very nice.
So they would use that to teach figures how to move in and out, going in and off
Yes.
stage. And
But the funny part about that one is, well, I'll tell you what I remember about that. I had to go from my home in Brooklyn to Hunter College in Manhattan, and I had to carry my things on the subway.
and all your paints and so forth.
Everything I had to carry.
Because you didn't have a locker at Hunter College.
No locker.
Yeah.
And actually, my father didn't take me really.
Well, maybe you weren't as special as you thought you were.
Yeah, I don't know. so anyhow, I was on this. I used to be on the trains,
Yeah.
and I would have to find somebody sitting down to hold my things because they would never let me sit down.
And you probably, they wouldn't.
No.
You'd have to stand up.
I would have to stand up.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds like New York.
I thought we had chivalry back then.
No.
No, I see. All right. Well, growing up in New York, you lived on the street. You probably you probably saw the culture of New York pass under your eyes. Huh?
Oh yes. And you know what I remember? I remember my grandmother used to live close by.
Oh.
Which was very nice. But what I remember is when we went to war. And
In 41.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that it was an announcement. I guess it must have been on the radio, and I still remember that very clearly. And I remember my parents weren't home, and my grandmother was the one that told me the news. And I remember how awful I felt. I didn't know all the details because I was young, but on the other hand, I do remember there were certain things.
Yeah, having a Polish, you said father or mother?
Mother.
Well, it was Polish, so that was very personal then.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm sure she had relatives back in Poland.
Yeah, we never discussed that though with her.
Is that right?
Yeah, we never discussed that. But that was a help to me, having my grandmother close by. She didn't live in the same building. She lived in another building around the corner from me.
Yeah. Grandparents have a way of being important to the kids if they're close by.
And you know something? Believe it or not, we're still doing it with our grandchildren.
Good.
I have the feeling when we talk to them, especially when my husband talks to my grandson, the one that wants to be a doctor, there's a little relationship. And it looks to me like my grandson really likes my husband.
Good.
And listens to everything he says, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
which is wonderful. Yeah.
Well, after all, we do have something to impart to our grandchildren.
You have a lot to
Yeah.
impart.
Absolutely.
You might not think so.
No, I think so. All right. Well, we got to you to 13 years old, and when you painted that one, 12 when you painted this one. You've been in Hunter's College. You've learned to teach.
Yeah.
So you graduate from Hunter's College, and did you know Cy during this period?
Oh, how did I meet Cy?
Yeah. How did you meet Cy?
Well, Hunter College used to have parties,
Okay.
and they invited the men from City College to the parties.
Okay.
And so we had, and the party that we had was at a place called Roosevelt House in Manhattan. And somehow my husband went to City College. We invited him from City College, and he saw me.
Now, isn't Hunter College part of the City College?
I would say yes. Yeah, I would say.
That's what I thought.
And you know how much it costs to go to that college?
I know what it costs now.
I don't know what it costs now, really.
$6,000 for in-state
Well,
for tuition. It didn't cost you anything then.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. And we even used to get the books free.
Did you?
Yep.
Oh.
We had a book room, and we would get the books we needed, and it was like a children's class, and we returned the books after we finished the class, which was
and now
really
books are so expensive.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Well, you graduated from Hunter College and you married Cy. Then what did you do? You left to New York, huh?
Yes, because Cy had a job at Fort Belvoir.
Well, did you? Cy did. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a job?
Yes, and I had a nice job.
Good.
I worked for Woodward and Lothrop, the department store.
Okay.
I worked in their advertising department.
Ah.
And what I did in their advertising department was I did preparation for fashion shows. I would do a mock-up, a design, but they didn't let me finish painting. I did the preparation, but it was still very nice.
Yeah.
It was still very nice.
How long did you work at that?
Let's see, probably about 3, not too long.
Yeah.
Did about 3
Then
years.
you started having children.
Then I started having children, and that was work in itself.
That's right.
And I'm trying to think of what I did with my painting. I'll tell you one thing that I did. My husband traveled to Germany, and I went with him.
Oh.
And he used to sit outside with my little children, a baby carriage, and by that time there were 2 other children, and we all painted outside.
You all painted?
Yep. Oh. My children had little paint boxes. They sat outside and painted, and I painted too.
Now, how old are they at this time?
Oh, let's see, my oldest...
4 or 5 years old, 6 years old?
Now?
No, then.
Oh,
when they were
yeah,
painting? Yeah.
Young.
And so you were teaching them to paint?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were painting outdoors too, which was...
Do they still paint?
No, they don't still paint, which makes me feel bad, but I'm thinking that maybe someday they will go back.
You know, that's very possible.
To the painting.
People do that.
Because it's not like they can't.
Yeah.
I know they can, because one day they all came over to my house, and I decided to give a painting class to them. And they all did it, and it was very nice.
Yeah.
But then they didn't do it again. Well, you know.
Okay, well, now you're in Germany and you're painting, they're painting,
and I'm painting,
Yeah.
and we're painting outside, and that was the beginning of my painting outdoors, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because paint is one of my favorite things, and I don't know whether I'll do it again, is painting outdoors. I told you my husband held an umbrella over my head.
So that to keep the glare of the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I painted a lot in Maine.
Oh, okay.
I really did. And if
So you enjoy painting outdoors more than sitting in an apartment?
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. I can sit in an apartment and paint. And
Well, when you're outdoors and you see this scene, do you sketch it in pencil before you paint, or do you just start painting?
well, it depends. Either way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just start painting. But I'll tell you what does influence me. Sometimes the weather is tricky.
Yeah.
Once in a while, you could be painting and it starts raining while you're painting.
That's not good.
Not too good. Not, on the other hand, you know, sometimes when you do that and your paints are wet and you get water on your paint, that gives another effect, and
Yeah.
you learn how to do something different.
Oh, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you throughout your when did you start when did you start teaching art?
Oh, I've been teaching art for over 50 years now.
Okay. So that was
Yeah.
soon when you left Woodward and Woody's. You
No, it's after when my children were growing up in my house.
yeah.
I first started like in my basement. I first started painting, and people wanted to learn how to paint, so I invited them over. And then I said, you know, I need to have more room. Maybe we should move.
Okay, that's a good
Why
good
not?
excuse.
Why not?
That's right.
But we didn't move.
Okay.
Instead, somehow, I think what we ended up doing was adding a room,
Oh, okay.
and that became my classroom. As a matter of fact, you know what happened the other day? This was very interesting. I got a letter from a former pupil of mine who was in my class 20 years ago.
Ah,
And she wanted to come. She just retired from her job with the Senate.
oh,
And she said she wants to go back to painting. Could I let her come to my class? Well, Green Spring doesn't really like you having people coming to your class if they don't live there.
well, I know of a few people who come to classes that don't live here.
I know, because I'm going to do that. I'm going to invite a few people.
Yeah.
So I did invite her, and she absolutely loved it. And she was painting. So I'm getting calls from my pupils that used to be in my house begging to come back to class, and I don't know how I could do it, you know, if I could invite them back, because they are taking classes from other teachers, and I hate to say it, but they don't like the other teachers.
Okay.
Yeah, but and I know those people that they called me up, and one's supposed to call me again. Yeah.
Well, you know, it is. I'm sure it's a great satisfaction to you that have these people want to return and take classes.
Oh
from you.
yeah.
You know, that's a good thing.
Sure, and I enjoy my class that I have now.
And what class do you have now? Oh, you mean the one you're teaching
Yeah,
here at
I'm
Green?
teaching a class now. Actually, I should be there right now because my classes are on Thursday mornings.
Well, I'm sorry we took you out of class, and my apologies to the students. But
No,
we're delighted
but-
to have you here.
No, but I'm really enjoying teaching them because we're doing all kinds of things. The one thing that I didn't bring today, because I already brought a lot,
Yeah.
was I do miniature paintings,
Oh.
and I have a lot of miniatures in my studio. So I decided to work with miniatures with my class. And they started to do it, and they loved it.
Well, you also have another thing, but let's talk about some of your other paintings now, because
Yeah.
we're down to about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's too bad.
Tell us about this painting.
Oh, let me see.
It's of a lighthouse in Maine.
And you know what? And oh, that was a very nice light. I used to paint lighthouses quite a bit. Every place I went had another lighthouse to paint. And so I still remember sitting outside and painting this lighthouse.
How long ago was that?
Pretty long ago. Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
So you go back to Maine every year, or?
We didn't go back last year, but otherwise we did. And we're going back. Oh, this is Oh, this is a tricky painting.
Yeah, this is a very interesting painting. And
Well, you know what?
That's in watercolor, the original painting, right?
Yeah, the original painting here was watercolor, and this is called a G-clay print.
Oh.
And what happens is somebody takes the watercolor, and they photograph it, and they get a good image, and then they could do whatever you want. And I asked them here, I wanted to see what the watercolor would look like on canvas. So this is canvas. And actually it looks very nice on canvas. I have to go ahead and put a frame around it.
It looks very nice. It looks very, and the details are there. It looks like oil. It looks like a print, though, of an oil painting, perhaps. But the detail in it, is that a street in New York?
Yeah, that's a street in New York. That's typical New York. Look at how much it is.
Yeah, it is.
People walking and a lot of taxi cabs. And it seems to me that I've done a lot of taxi cab paintings. I know. Every time I look at a painting, it says yellow cabs, you know, I have a lot of cabs.
How can you be in New York and not see a cab?
You can't.
You know?
You have to be in New York. No, because now you have the Uber. Is it Uber? What is it?
The Uber?
Yeah.
The Lyft, huh?
Well, you have something other than cabs.
Yeah.
But
I think you still have a lot of cabs.
But the cabs are much more interesting.
Yeah. Now there's another picture that's very interesting. The one of the baskets. We can't hold it up, but they can see that.
Well, the one of the baskets, I know you're fascinated.
I am.
Well, there are spots on the basket painting that have light areas, like on the baskets themselves, the sunlight coming through.
You can see in the lower left corner of that basket the sunlight coming through the basket.
And how do I do that? What I do is I take some solution. It's called masking solution. And wherever there's a light spot, I paint that masking solution on the whole painting, any place there's a light spot. Later on, after it's dry, I paint over it. And I paint over, like for instance, I paint over the ground. You see there's like a purple shadow on the ground?
I see that.
Okay, I paint over the ground, say over the masking solution with the purple paint, and then when it's dry and everything is dry, I remove the masking solutions and I have the light areas, which is very nice.
Well, to me it's a fascinating painting because of the detail in it, the baskets, actually you see the reeds and everything that's woven baskets. That's just.
I wanted to give you a class, actually, but let me tell you, it's tricky to do that, but I have to do something else. I can't explain it. I have to actually do it for you.
Yeah, well, we only have a couple of minutes now left, and there's one you were teaching out at the Fairfax County studio.
Channel 10.
Yeah, tell me about that. Can we get that here?
You can. If you don't get the channel, what you could get is a copy of the paintings.
Oh.
And that would be absolutely wonderful. Because and here you see all these paintings are on this channel.
I see these paintings, and I saw the paintings that you had at the art show, and I saw the paintings that you had on the wall over at Hunter's Crossing.
Yeah.
And they were wonderful.
Oh, that was a nice wall.
Yeah.
Also, what was nice, I have to give her a little credit, is the sculptor.
Oh, and aren't those sculptures wonderful?
I know that woman.
Yeah, I do too.
She has 5 of my paintings hanging in her house.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Good.
She has paintings, and I have to go to buy something from her. The sculptures are expensive because those are bronze.
They should be.
Yeah,
and your paintings should be expensive too, I would think.
Well, you know something? I have so many paintings that I'm reducing the price just to get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
Although it hurts.
Well, Judy, we're out of time. I thank you very much for coming on today because you've taught us a lot. You've taught us, just talking with you about your life in New York and learning to paint and all of this. It's just been a very good experience.
Thank you, and I enjoyed it. It was very nice.
I hope you did.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Okay.